Hi everyone, Diana Rankin here with your weekly soul messages and predictions. And I want to welcome all of you back. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome. We do have another question about the coronavirus. And so we're going to look at that in a few minutes. I just want to let you know this is the 13th year of 2020. Tumultuous year, and I don't think that's going to go away for a while yet. So that's March the 22nd to the 28th. See, I've got my calendar here. I can't keep track of dates without my calendar. So that's the 27th to the 28th. That's where we are now. Get my hair out of the way here. We will also get a message from Phillip. Whoops, my journal just fell down here. Sorry about that. We will get a message from Phillip. This is an oracle book, and we just do that. We just go through and say, okay, what's our message, Phillip? And we open it up like that. I use this book every day, and a lot of people tell me they do too, which is, it's interesting because a lot of what's going on in my life, I will ask Phillip, okay, what's the answer, Phillip? And I'll turn to a page and it's always right. Sometimes you have to work with it. You might have to work it through. It might not be the answer you're looking for either. So we'll get that in a few moments. I just want to tell you one of the things that many of you have written and said, this book here is really helpful during these stressful times. Joy, both of these are available. All of my books are available on Amazon.com, by the way. And so many of you have told me, see, I still touch my face, but I'm at home, so I'm not too worried about it. But anyway, 52 processes in here, along with stories of ways that you can create joy in your life. And so hopefully this book is helping many of you. And I thank you for even letting me know which processes you found the most helpful. So here we go. For those of you who are new, I love your comments. It takes me a while sometimes to get around to answering them, but I do read them. They come in on my email, so I get to read them immediately when they come in. Answering them takes a little bit longer. But what we do here is you've asked me the questions, and we do have some questions backed up that we are not forgotten, but we will get to. And I ask you to please have them be universal questions, and by that I mean questions that would be of interest to the whole audience. If you do want a session to have your personal questions answered, my information is below. I also want to tell you below, right down here, in addition to how to contact me, I did put a couple of links to meditations I have that I've done online, and those meditations one is, I think, called the Meditation for Good Health and Healing, and another is for healing, personal and planetary healing. So hopefully during these stressful times, those meditations will be a little helpful. As we're stuck at home, some people are feeling like this. Oh, others are feeling, this is cool. I love it. I don't have to be around people. We have that whole anxiety. It's very difficult to move the electronics from the office to home. So whatever it is that we're going on, we're all having some anxiety over what's going on. If you get my newsletter, there is an article there about what can we do to calm that anxiety and to find that balance. If you don't have my newsletter, my below is my website, and you can go sign up for it. It's free. So let's get started here with what Phillip has to say, because what we ask is what is taking place in the world with the pandemic that's causing such anxiety in the world. What is this all about? And this is you've heard Phillip say quite a bit. There are good things coming out of this, as painful as it is, and as much as we must grieve those loved ones who are lost. There's less pollution in the world. We're going shopping less, buying those things that we only need instead of I say that those things we only need, and Don't hoard. Where I live in the country, especially in the wintertime, we buy in bulk because the closest grocery store isn't that close. So we buy in bulk, but even people I know in the country are not buying any more than they normally do. Um, it, we want to leave plenty on the shelves. I've gone back to the grocery store 3 different times for 3 different weeks in a row trying to find the milk I like, which is cashew milk, unsweetened. And all of the cashew milk, all of the almond milk is gone by the time I get to the store. So, you know, we make do, and I'm not going to die because I don't have my milk. But let's be a little considerate of others. Thank you. Okay, so this is what Philip is saying. And he said, this is a time that is requiring those who are sensitive to the energies to protect themselves. These individuals you know as empaths, intuitives, psychics, and so forth. Isolation is being forced on people so the planet can cleanse herself with less harm to humans than if humans are going about their so-called normal lives. I think that's an important sentence right there, so I'm going to reread it. Isolation is being forced on people so the planet can cleanse herself with less harm to humans than if humans are going about their so-called normal lives. And then he goes on to say, we shall explain. As humans bond together in an emotional state, the emotional intensity builds as the number of humans increases. As Earth moves into her greater self, the shift brings about strong emotions. Some are attached to the non-movement, so movement brings about fear. Others welcome the shift without fear. All, however, are aware of changes in the Earth at an energetic level. This does not mean the human mind comprehends. What we have then is a planet that has been abused that is correcting that abuse. This requires a movement of people to leave the planet. And that's hard. That's hard to hear, that's hard to say, that's painful. To see that, even though everything so much is shut down and it is cutting back on the pollution, and there is so much we're learning from self-isolation, it is still very difficult to lose a loved one. It also requires a shift in the energy of those who stay. Not everyone will be able, and I think this is really important. Some have chosen to leave. The rest of us who have chosen to stay, we are required to make a shift in our energy. And this is important too. Not everyone will be able to make the shift, however. Not everyone is needed. Not everyone will be able to make the shift, and not everyone needs to. The tipping point can be reached without the entirety of all humans. The isolation required gives everyone who participates the opportunity to evaluate their lives to learn what does and what does not matter. It gives those who are needed for the Earth's transition the time to reflect, to be able to move in to the new space. To move into the new space of calm. Creating a sanctuary within the place where one resides is advisable. This allows the human to live in calm rather than the hectic energy of the current phase of the world. You will notice acts of love, kindness, and compassion increase as the isolation time continues. There will also be greater division, but do not participate in the division. When it is necessary to go out, do so with a heart full of love, allowing your energy to flow, counteracting any energy that could bring harm to you. Let me repeat that because I misread it, and I apologize for that. I need to read better, don't I? When it is necessary to go out, do so with a heart full of love, allowing your energy to flow, counteracting any energy that could bring harm to you. Recognize this as a time to develop the spirit-led life of love. And then I say thank you, and Philip thanks us. And I will tell you that after I speak to Philip, whether it's about my personal issues or our questions here for our weekly video, I always feel so much calmer just in doing that, just in journaling and writing. I want to say one of the hardest things about journaling is, where do we start? What do we say? Well, if all you write, if the only words you write in a journal every day is I'm grateful for, and then write down what you're grateful for, that's enough. That's a lot. I can't emphasize the importance of gratitude. So, shall we see what our message this week is from Philip? Think left page or right page, because remember, we only have and there we go. Okay. I'm actually getting some mixed messages here, but I think the left page is a message. So if you got mixed messages, I apologize, because I wasn't sending out a strong for the left page. But if you did get the right page, if you got left page, you may have struggled like I did, but you got it. If you got right page, that's probably a personal message for you. So listen to both pages. I always read both pages, as you know. So here's what the left page says. This is page 150, by the way. When your mind is occupied with thoughts of another, you have no time to think of yourself. When your mind is occupied with thoughts of another, you have no time to think of yourself. I'm going to qualify that just a little bit. And the reason I'm going to qualify that is because we do have to think of ourselves. We have to take care of ourselves. But I think the reason this came up this week is the reason we're self-isolating is to try to keep the number of people who are infected or who are exposed, trying to keep that number low so we can get a handle on the virus. The virus isn't necessarily going to go away that quickly. We've got several months here that we're going to go through. And part of that virus is it's being fueled by fear. And when we're fearful, our immune system is lessened. So don't give in to that fear. Stay in the calm, stay in the anxiety, or stay out of the anxiety. But I do think that when we're thinking of someone else, and I want to tell a story. I'll change. I don't want to get into her name because she didn't give me permission to tell this story. But just a couple of quick acts of, I want to emphasize why when your mind is occupied with thoughts of another, you have no time to think of yourself. And this is a beautiful time to look at that. My friend and real estate agent sent out an email to all her clients, and she said, she lives on a farm, and she said, if you need eggs, let me know, I'll deliver them. And they're fresh farm eggs, because she's going out there and getting the eggs from the hens, and then she's taking them out to people who need them. Another friend, she was called to make sure I was okay because of my age, I think, but also just to check on me, and check on our beloved Daisy, who is sound asleep over here. She's sleeping a lot longer and deeper sleep these days, and part of that is her age, and part of it may be the healing that needs to take place, because when we're ill or when we're older, I guess when we're ill, we need more sleep. And she's not ill, she's healthy, but her hips she fell and injured her hips, but also it's her age, so we're getting treatments for her hips. So, but my other friend that I want to tell you about, I'm supposed to keep my hands away from my face, aren't we? That's very hard to do. She herself is very healthy, but her husband is not. He's healthy, but he has a medical condition, and her mother-in-law is older and has a medical condition. And so my friend is really going those extra miles to take care of, excuse me, get my hair out of my face there, going those extra miles to take care of her family. And I think that's beautiful. And she even said, I wouldn't do this just for me. So, my friends, our message is when your mind is occupied with thoughts of another, you have no time to think of yourself. And that tells me, if we're worried about our health, we need to stop and think about those who are working the grocery stores, the first responders, um, the medical people. The people in gas stations, the people who are still working in the carry where you can get carry out food in the restaurants that are still open. There are plenty of people who still have to show up for work every day. We also want to think of those who aren't able to go to work because their places of employment are closed, and so we want to, keep them in our thoughts and our hearts because they have to pay the rent too. So on the right page, and I think this is an important message for those of you who got right, today is your day of opportunity. Today is your day of opportunity. And that could mean many, many things. It could mean maybe you should start a new business from home. It could also mean that maybe this is an opportunity to go deeper, to get to know the truth of who you are, which is much more than we usually give ourselves credit for. Remember, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are not that experience, though. We are having the experience, so don't get caught in the experience. Do take a look at this week's um, address, this week's blog on my newsletter. If you're not already getting it, it may be too late to sign up for that, but it gives you some ideas of how to stay balanced. Anyway, my friends, from Daisy and I and the kitties and all two-legged ones and four-legged ones in our peaceful place here, we thank you for being with us today. We thank you for accepting our love. We thank you for the love that you send to us. It keeps us going. It keeps me making these videos when they're not always the easiest thing I want to do that day. So anyway, I love you and I thank you for being here. And I thank you for seeing you next week or on one of the meditation videos. Until then, my friends, I love you.